The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, how are you? This is Greg from CentralReach. Hope you're doing well. We have a few more people logging on currently, so I'm just going to hang tight for a sec. I do just want to ask one administrative question here. I have my screen up, Greg's Wonderful Therapy Company. If one of you could just be so kind to let me know that you can hear me okay and that you can see my Wonderful Therapy screen, just type a little question in the question box. And then once I know, we are good to go. All right, perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, so a couple more people are joining. We are just going to wait one more minute, and then I will do a quick introduction, and we'll get ready to rock and roll today. All right, just to make sure you're in the right place, I am a clinician with CentralReach, and we are going to go over some clinical items today, So 1 minute, and then we'll rock and roll. All right, guys. So thank you for your patience. We'll just get started here today. If at any time you can't hear me, just let me know. Hopefully everything is all set there. I am going to be walking you through some clinical items for the next 45 minutes. I try not to take the whole hour, get you guys out of here a little early. If you have questions, please open the question box and type them. There are a bunch of people, so everyone is muted, but you can type, and I promise to get to most of the questions. If not, we can always email afterwards or set up another time. A couple of other housekeeping items. I'm recording this, and so you should get an email after within a day or two with the link. And if you don't, I'll give my email at the end, and you can email me. And again, you can follow up with me after. I'll give my email. I'm Greg Paquette, head up our clinical team here at CentralReach. I am a BCBA, so a lot of this is geared towards the ABA practitioners, the supervisory, the managers on the ABA side. That said, we have great tools for speech, OT, PT, SOAP notes, evaluations, etc. If there are a lot of folks on the line that do want to see some of the speech stuff, I'll try to hit a few of those points. But really, what I try to do is I try to show what the in-field data collection procedures look like in CentralReach, right? So the tech goes out, the RBT goes out, the direct line therapist goes out, they take data, the data graphs, right? That's their job. They write a session note. I show that stuff. Then I go into, where did those goals and targets come from, right? So from a BCBA side of things, how do I write goals? How do I look at them? How do I look at graphs? Okay. Then I go into running a progress report and talk about how we can streamline your life going forward there. All right. So without further ado, let's rock and roll. So hopefully some of you have heard about CentralReach. Maybe it's the first time. Just, we're on the web, obviously. We're talking to each other here. So it is a web-based platform that can be on any device, any laptop, desktop, any mobile phone, and any tablet. And then we also have an application that works in the field for the therapist as well. They can see their schedule, get signatures, collect data online and offline. Okay, any device from a Kindle works great to an iPad, anything in between, so you should be all set. The modules up top, those are all the CentralReach modules. So I always like to say, you don't have to, if you're interested in CentralReach, you don't need all these things, right? Some people don't need human resources, requesting time off, all that good stuff. Some people don't need the billing and the authorization. So some people just want clinical. Okay, so we're going to hang out over here today in the Learn module, Learn module has been around for about 5 years, but we've been making updates, crazy updates over the last few years. And so if you've seen it in the past, hopefully it looks new and improved for you. We're going to talk about our learning trees today. Those are our binders. Those are our goal books, our data books. And we're also going to be talking about those data sheets, those sessions. Okay, that's what we call them in our system. So first we're going to dive deep, and I'm going to pretend I am that technician. I am that RBT, right? They have a few ways. They can open up their session list and they can find their kid's session, right? To make it easy, we also can have them land on their homepage, their agenda page. And shocker, you have your sessions right here. They can click there, all right? Or they can go to their client. So we have so many ways depending on how you train your folks, right? You can just click a client and then see theirs, all right? So for example, if I go to Barry Bonds here, here's his profile. I can get to his data sheet right here and pop, okay? Again, I could have done it those other couple ways. Here it is. Here's the data sheet. Big screen. I'm on a huge monitor. It stretches it out. If you're on a phone, it shrinks it. Not necessarily shrinks it, it formats it for your phone. And everything in between. So any tablet size. So bear with me when I get my little tablet size screen going. Here we go. Okay. So I navigate here. I am the technician. Okay. So I'm going to start my day. All right, so let's walk through this together. I'm going to start my day. This is my data sheet. I have everything I need, okay? And that's our goal, especially if you're coming from, paper to the system, right? You should have everything you need. So let's walk through it together. I have my timer. The timer is really cool. It's going to start my rate timers for me, my interval timers. It's going to know what I've done, what I haven't done. My supervisor is going to get all that information. Okay. I have my stuff over here on the left side. What kind of stuff, you might ask? Well, you have communication logs, client summary sheets, right? Any information you want is right in front of you. You have all your programs, right? I have a client preference sheet. So I show you some of these to make sure that you know that you can take all your papers, you can create them in our system, and you have them while you're in the field, okay? You also have these little symbols here, 1, 1, 1, 2. I leave those there. I could resolve them, but what those are comments. Those are comments from my peers, comments from my boss telling me something important. And I'm going to show you, what those look like in a minute. Okay? But let's just bounce around for a little. In this middle part, you have your skills that you're taking data on. And notice as I scroll on the left, I can click and it bounces to the middle. I can scroll and it bounces to the middle. Or I can hide that. Okay, and you can view them by category and only look at the animal sounds or only look at the colors or the math facts, whatever you want, right? But you can just bounce and click. Over here, I have my skill, and this is just the name of it. Some people put the SD, sometimes they put a whole goal name here. It's just telling you what that stimuli is, what the data collection is, what the phase is, right? And you can collect data. I got 25, boom, I'm done. Let's scroll up. FCR, I need help. I'm going to set the occasion for this. They needed an indirect verbal. They needed a full verbal, a gesture, independent, independent, independent. Cool, I've done enough. I scroll down. Let's take a little McDonald's break. All my cheesy little targets here. They're on a full physical to wait. I guess I'm holding their hand. Pop, pop, pop. I'm done with McDonald's. I go outside. Street crossing TA. Okay, this is how fast the system can go, and this is how fast therapists sometimes go, right? It's very quick. So here I have all my steps of my task analysis. Walk to the edge of the road, look left, look right. Oops, I made a mistake. I can change my response. I can view all my responses, worksheet style. People love this view. It's easy to go from paper to electronics when you have a view that just lays it out for you. Okay? Now, the blue bar, that tells me I'm done. All right? And if I take away, right, you see the blue bar shrink, add it back, and it fills up. Now, I could take away all my responses, change them around, right? Very easy. I also can get back to the regular style as well. Now, these prompts, they're up to you, right? So you notice here I had that full physical. That was a prescribed prompt. Up here, I had a least to most approach, all my prompts. And down here, let's find one. I have buttons for prompts here. And notice my favorite prompt. We all have a favorite prompt. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully prompts, your favorites are independents. But I just wanted to show you that you can type in your stuff, right? Every company can make their own prompting strategies, etc. Okay? You can have yes, no data, yes, no with prompts, right? Count prompts as negative or positive. The flexibility is all yours. Right? Now I'm doing book, boom, behaviors arise, right? You're reading a book, that child doesn't like that book, they engage in problematic behavior. You stop running the book program, pop open those behaviors, start your timer, okay? That tantrum's going. I'm not taking trials anymore. I could if I wanted to, right? Your timer can go, your clickers can go at the same time you're taking that acquisition data. Your interval timers are going, 449, 450, 451. Your rate timer of stereotypy is going, right? This one's going to beep. It beeped at us, right? So it's telling me I should score that occurrence or non-occurrence. Even if that's shut, it'll beep at you and shake, okay? Or go by the settings of your phone. ABC data collection. You guys get to customize, right? We want to take those papers. We want to make it online. I took a toy, duration of tantrum, consequence. I said no. Who was there? The brother, right? This column's extra, right? We don't always have that on an ABC sheet, but it's helpful. You can make your own ABC sheets, all right? So you have your behaviors. You have your ABC. You have your list of stimuli. You also can have your behavior support plans over here. You can have your videos for video modeling, staff modeling, all sorts of stuff. You also can't have a program without your program sheets. So some people call them teaching tips, curriculum sheets, program sheets, right? We call them instructional sheets, instructional notes. So if I want to know how to run this weighting program, I just pop it open. I not only have a little graph, and I put mine purposely like little color coded just to show you. You can take away data, right? Manipulate the graph, and it's meant to be not to scale. It's just to show you the last few data points on your skill so that you can plan accordingly. It's meant to show you who last graphed, what their last score was. But of course, my notes, right? You can have it, but first wait. Teaching instructions, materials, prompting, etc. Everything you need, this stuff on this side right here, is to help you run the program. Let's go to another one, street crossing. There it is. SD is cross the street. Verbal praise is the reinforcer, right? And then you see those comments, right? Those comments. I can type right here, right? And then that would show to my staff members in their account that they had, 2 comments. I only have one, right, because I'm writing it to myself. But what you see here is the instructions. Now, when you're done, you come over here, you graph all your stuff, you check your work. There it is. Graph it, and you're good to go. Okay, so let's make this a little bigger for you. You can graph as you go. You can graph at the end, right? You're prompted if you leave the application that you have data. You're prompted if interval timers go off. A lot of cool stuff, okay? But let's do this for me. Let's go to our session summary, okay? This is awesome, and I could have looked before, okay? I could have looked before my shift and seen what happened yesterday. Or a supervisor can come in and see what happens today. There's the comment by whom. That's how long I was there. 1 phase change. Well, that's weird, right? I didn't do a phase change. I didn't drop a phase change on a graph. Well, there's automatic procedures in play here, guys. There's automatic stuff. We went, ooh, look at that one. I got a bad score, 42%. This was in maintenance. It went to intervention. How cool is that? So I always forget actually how I set things up, but in this case, I must have hit a criteria that's in the system for that program that says, hey, if you fail maintenance, go back to intervention. And what's failing? Well, failing is what you want, right? Failing could be 2 days at 0, could be 2 days at 80, could be 1 day at 50, right? Whatever you want. Could be 2 consecutive errors. But that's cool. The system knows, it's labeled your graph for you. It's prescribed the correct prompt for the next person. Okay. You also have all sorts of other stuff, things that weren't run that day, learning opportunities. Greg got 36 trials done. Woo-hoo. Okay. Cool. Now, we also have group data sheets. Group data sheets. I'll take questions in just a sec if there are any, but group data sheets are awesome. Not everyone needs them, but what it means is up to 6. Actually, there's a question real quick. Let me just go there. How did you get to that summary page? Good question. All I do is in the top right corner, there's a history page, a history. I click history, and then it's the history of all the data and by whom. Okay. Great question there. So if I come back over here, we have groups. Groups are social skills. They're residential homes. They're day habs. I've worked with a lot of kids, did just a little bit of adults, but some of our users do day hab, and they do employment services, and they might have a few consumers that they work with at one time, and they throw them all on one data sheet. Now, this is the one, this isn't available in the application. It is available on a phone, but in the browser. This is the one thing I kind of recommend, don't do on a phone because it's a lot of information. But on a tablet, it looks great, and on a computer screen, it's also great. We have some cool users that Velcro this, Velcro iPads with this up to places in a residential home, which I thought is pretty creative. And whoever's closest does some data, right? So you have Carrie over here, Natty, Barry Bonds, right? I don't even like Barry Bonds. I don't know why I have him in here, but I do like Carrie Underwood, all right? But you click, right? Click, right? You do your data. The cool thing about this is you graph, something about that graph. Oh, I must not have hit a minimum. There's some minimum requirements that'll flash at you if you don't hit them. But basically, you graph all your data, and that's a really cool point. You can actually set up rules, and you'll have warnings for those rules. So like, hey, you need to get 5 trials for that, and it's just going to tell me like I can't graph all of them because I haven't hit my minimum for that. Okay, so stuff like that. But that's our group data sheet. Really cool stuff. And then when you're done, you can end your day, and everything gets sent to the right place. Okay. Now, what I want to do next, I'll pause for a second, but I want to go back to this agenda page. So what's really cool, and then I'll pause, I promise. My agenda is where I like to have techs log in. You want their life to be easy, right? So I have my contacts. I have my clinical widget. That's what we call these things. I have my appointments. You can move them around, right? This is all I need as that technician. I need to know maybe, right? My client details. Okay, I can go back. I know my appointments for today, and I know my data sheets. Now, when I'm done, I simply click this button, and it leads me to my timesheet. So from one page, I have my data sheet, and I have my schedule, and I have my timesheet. Okay, and so I'm now on my timesheet. All right, so I'm going to stop for a sec before I go into a timesheet. Any questions? I'll just take a quick pause. All right, no questions, so I'm going to keep rocking. Hopefully I'm not boring you, and I throw some cheesy humor in there just because I'm talking to myself here because everyone's muted, so sorry about that. All right, so the cool thing about CentralReach, and I say there's a lot of cool things, but you have the whole system in one place. There are a couple others out there that are great softwares that, have some sort of comprehensive system. But what we have, I think, is, up there as one of the most complete, because you saw that I had the data, right? Now you see that I have a timesheet. You're going to see that I have a note. Okay. But we also, like I said earlier, we have human resources requesting time off. You request it, it goes to your manager. They say yes. It blocks off your schedule. It updates your time, right? That's really cool. We have a messaging, an instant messaging. We have the whole billing. We have the invoicing. We have the parent pay, the portal, and then we also have courses, trainings, and you can make your own stuff and track data on staff members as well. So it is kind of a really great all-in-one system. And what I failed to mention is that, yes, I showed you the modules along the top. I said you didn't have to have them. But what I also meant to say is that different levels of staff can have different ones, right? So if you're an administrator, right, in this clinical module, you're going to have all these settings, right? You're going to be able to customize your company prompting, you customize your sheets, right? Build library items. Your staff might not have those, right? You might be able to see all their timesheets, but they're not going to see each other's, right? I just like to make sure that people know it's all based on permission. Okay, the permission module, and it's also based on connections. So again, I might see 50 people in my account. They're only going to see 5 if they work with 5. Okay, so diving back in, Barry is the client. Greg's therapy company in this instance is the provider. The date, today. The service code, direct service. All this stuff, right, minus the time worked, the units, right, you can block out this if you don't want to pay the mileage and drive time. You can block out the pay. You can block out this little note to control what they write, right? You can block off this stuff. They don't need to see all that, okay? They can literally just see, okay, this is the code and this is the save button with one awesome feature in the middle. What this is this is your daily session note. And almost every company I talk to has some sort of note that they like to do or need to do or are required to do for their funder, right? So if this is Blue Cross, this here is a Blue Cross note, okay? If this is Aetna, this right here is an Aetna note. The system knows that. The system is set up so that when you have the code, we link the correct note. Okay, that's in the setup of an account that we help people with. In addition, you can get any note you want in here. Okay, so today, I'm going to click my sample, right? Barry, the date, the time, start time, end time, the narrative from today, right? I can type, Mom, Dad were there, the goals ran today. Look at that, 7 minutes. That is what we just did. Not a lot of systems can, 1, house the data in the same place, like I mentioned. 2, drag them in so quickly, right? And 3, have a level of customization. This table is just a table because I created it. It can be bullets, it can be paragraphs. You can do whatever you want, okay? That's what I just did today. And signature, pop, pop, walk over. I'm using my left hand, so Dad to type it in really quickly. He has a great signature. Pop and save and return. Okay, so what just happened is it brought me back to my screen. I go to my next house. I'm back on this screen. Next one's with Matt. I do it over, right? Matt data sheet. I don't know who Carl is, but Matt's data sheet for Carl. I would do that, and I would bill for Matt. Okay. What's really cool is you can also have a supervision form linked to a code or anything else. All right. So where did that stuff come from? right? Where did those goals for Barry come from? So learning tree. Learning tree is that binder, okay? If you're coming from a paper pencil or a clinic or a school, you have a binder, you have a kid book, you have a data book. Usually you have some admin stuff at the front, some files, some supervision notes, right? Then you have all your sections, right? Maybe community, maybe communication. Maybe there's no order at all. Maybe it's just program, graph, program, graph, program, graph. Okay? So ours is usually broken down by domain. And then let's say communication, you have 5 programs. It's program, graphs, program, graphs, program, graphs. Okay? So let's look at one. Let's look at my fake binder. I purposely keep this pretty empty just to show the flow, and then I'm going to show you a real one. Most companies have a template that they like to follow. Some companies even have a little, table of contents that they give me, and they say, this is what goes in our binder. Can you make it? And I say, yeah, we can, right? It's a template. This is just Greg's template, right? You can do whatever you want. Now, what happens is this template is already set up for what you need, right? You have stuff in it. It's kind of prompting your user, your BCBA, to fill out what you need. It's prompting them to upload an assessment. It's prompting them to upload an IEP. Okay? You have client information. This stuff right here. Past services, right? Let's check it out. You can write past service information here. Medical necessity. You can write medical necessity here. You can prompt your user what to write. Name has a diagnosis of X, right? It's a medical necessity for X, right? All these things. What's important about this? It seems like just a block of text. If you fill out any of these, they go automatically to progress reports, okay? And we want your hours of unpaid time on progress reports to go down to minutes, okay? Not like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but 30 minutes, right? You got to write some stuff. But the key here is you house all the information in one place. When it's time to run a report, which I'll show you, you drag everything in, and then you can actually get paid for your time, okay? But most people are going to focus the most on what's inside the goal sections, right? Behavior section, parent goals, social, community, communicative, right? You can change this around, right? Let's do communication. There we go. Okay, you guys can decide. So this is kind of the structure. Goal, goal, goal. All you do is you come in here and you write your very first awesome goal smiley face, right? That's a good one. Let's define this goal, right? Define it how? Well, let's do some stuff. What domain is it? Well, that's communication, right? Maybe this was a parent goal, right? It's not, but you can kind of label it as such and search for all your stuff, okay? But really, let's just write about how we're going to teach this goal, right? So what we do is, if you have a Word doc and you're coming from paper or something, you can just type it in here, copy and paste, right? But the more formal way for people is they like to fill out a formal note section. And I have a bunch of samples, but these are little things that help your BCBAs put their programs in very quickly. If they're going to teach this awesome goal naturalistically, right, there it is. Teaching instructions, SD, materials. There's certain things here for them to fill out. Or you can teach it receptively. And there's different things. Look at that, right? This kind of stuff. All right? So this stuff is all up to you. It's not, you're just looking at some of my samples. We help you get this in, and then you're good to go. Now, that instruction sheet on my very first awesome goal smiley face is right here. It stays here. You can print it out a little more formal. You can print out the whole book. You can share it with parents. They can log in. They can see it, all sorts of stuff. But the biggest piece of importance is this goes to the data sheet, right? When I pulled up that side view, the therapist can see this, okay? And you can change it at any time. Now, this goal already has apparently rate per hour spitting, right? But I just was probably showing someone how to write something. But you just kind of change it around, right? Let's do percent correct, saying hello, right? I need to define that a little bit. Percent correct, right? Duration, task analysis. We have all sorts of great data types. Duration can also work for latency. Time sampling works for momentary, partial, and whole. Task analysis, you have your task names, whole, forward, backward. So it kind of walks you through. So if I pick rate, it's going to ask me how do you want to display the interval? If I pick percent, it's going to ask me what trials I want. Do I want any prompting? Right? So it walks you through stuff. Okay. And now we're ready to rock. Okay. That graph is all set up. You have your labels. You have your scale. It's all set up for you. You can always change them later if you want. And I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay. That's how you create something. Or you can come in and you can go to your library. And companies have their own libraries. We give you some basic stuff, but companies come in and they can put in all their stuff, and they would just search for it, right? Toileting, right? It's going to search for goals that I have with the name toileting, and come up with results. My internet might be slow, or I might, just not have toileting goals, but right, you would just kind of click, right? You can check your body parts, right? There's my toileting stuff. It was just a little delayed because of my internet, but you would just grab it and then it would bounce to your book. Okay, so that's the two choices. You can kind of write some own goals or keep them in your library and you're ready to rock and roll. All right, now let's go to a real book and I'll just show you some graphs real quick. Let's do it. Not a real kid, but a real book with some data. All right, so let's do this one. Okay, cool. Shows me some metrics right off the bat, right? So goals in progress, 37. Goals met, 10. Short-term objectives mastered, 18%. Domains mastered, that's what long-term means. Domains mastered, 0. He's not mastering too much, okay? So what else? My stuff is on the side. These exclamation points mean that I have a comment that maybe I should read. Okay, I'm able to read different comments. That's what that number 1 is. I could always come in and see the comment. Okay, hello. So this is what a standard graph looks like in the system. Okay, this one is based on, it says date right here, but it's based on session. I can always change the date by just coming in here, and I could change the axis label, or I could change this to take that away and have it go by dates. But in this case, I'll do sessions. Very easy to customize the graph. Now that axis label is all good. Okay. Notice you have a hover. You can always see your score. Okay. You can zoom in. You can zoom out. You can come in and take away data paths very easily. You can come in and you can see your data entry history, who's taking data, right? Learning opportunities per day, total data points, meaning per data point you're getting 2 trials. Trials to criterion, we track that in the system. It's not met, so we don't have one yet. Okay. What we have is here, you can always combine things. So this is just breaking it down by topography, and we can come in and look at that, right? So you have, right, you can have different, different conditions right here, and I can kind of hover, take some away, right? I can actually look and combine them daily, weekly, etc. So you can do a lot of cool stuff with this graph right here. Of course, mine are in color for a little more pop on the screen, but they default to grayscale. Okay, let's look at a couple more, right? So duration of tantrum. All right, my duration of tantrum graph. I see that he went on vacation at some point. I see that we started in January going all the way till now. I can come in, let's break it down per person. Notice that Greg P took a couple pieces of data. Greg's Wonderful Therapy took a lot more. You can always break it down like that. You always have so many choices to look at. Some percentage and cumulative graphs, some average and total graphs, right? So let's look at the duration of tantrum, total weekly. That breaks it down to week on the x-axis. Okay, let's break it down to monthly. There we go. That's much easier for a family to look at, right? It's less data points. You can always download these. You can always print off the whole book or all the graphs at once. Okay, let's look at one more real quick. Let's look at replacement behavior so I can show you an awesome graph that I have here. This is a I need help graph. Variable. Look at that, right? So let's throw a trend line on there. Okay, decreasing trend. Now, if that wasn't clear enough, that you have a variability with a decreasing trend, let's look at the prompt utilization, right? So I come in and I can see a line graph. Whoa, that's busy, right? Because I've been collecting data so long, right? I can take it out and see kind of the percent independence. But I like the bar graph for this. Look at this. So what we have here is it shows you the percentage over time. And we have all sorts of graphs like this for task analyses. We have ABC graphs and a couple others that I'll show you. But you're really showing that over time, 23% independence, right? Not great for a year's work. But at the beginning, we had less prompting, right? More differentiated prompting, but less prompting. And then I can come here, and now we've gone down in independence, up in gesture and indirect verbal. So you can actually just kind of cruise through here, move it around, right, and really see how well the kiddo is doing. I love these graphs right here. Okay, now other things that you can do. Let's go into the community section. Let's just do this real quick. You can see cumulative graphs, right? What is mastered in a section? How many things are mastered in a section? 4. 4 are mastered, right? Or just look at the bar graph, right? 2 are mastered in December. 2 are mastered in May. All right, so all sorts of cool graphs for you. If you want more graphs, all you do is you come over to the graph itself, roll over the top, go to graph analysis. We have some hidden awesome graphs for you. What it's going to do is it's going to bring up a scatter plot, if you like those. And you can look at a scatter plot of whatever date range you want. Then you can turn your scatter plot into other graphs, line graphs. So this one right here is interesting because, and I'll show you cold probe. Yeah, there's actually a button for probe that you can do. So I don't have to show you that, Katie, but yeah, very easy. Boom, cold probe, done. And we also have probe in practice so that you can take the data, it graphs it, but then you can actually take some more data that doesn't hit the graph. Some of our users asked about that a while ago, so we put that in. But this is showing you that no behaviors really are happening at the end of the hour, but they're happening at the second half of the hour in the beginning. And then I come in, look at day of the week, right? So if my scatter plot tells me noon, then I come here and it tells me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? And then I can look at different parts of the day in different half-hour intervals, 15 minutes. So a lot of cool stuff, right? Let's look at the bar graph of ABC. Let's look at the consequence, right? Playing is an antecedent, huh? Took toy away is an antecedent, okay? Maybe the tech is actually just writing down or clicking that they're playing and they took toy away, right? So maybe they're kind of clicking both at the same time. And then, of course, or maybe they're playing and then they took a toy based on the consequences. So a lot of cool stuff here to view, all right? So that's the book, right? You fill your book with your goals and objectives. You create programs over time. You modify programs. You look at all the data. We also have snapshot views where you can look and see all the trends of the data as well very quickly, the ones that are high performing, low performing, the ones that haven't been run for a while, etc. All right. But I want to stay on time. I'm not going to finish in 45 minutes, but I'm going to finish in 50 minutes. So I'm going to take the last 9 minutes here, maybe then some questions, hopefully, to show you a progress report. Okay, so just as a recap, right? You can take data online and offline on any device. You can pull all that into a supervision form or a session note that goes to billing. Okay. All the files are stored in the file cabinet and shared with the correct people. You can put any goal and objective and teach any way you want, including probe and toileting data and behaviors and naturalistic, any way you want in the learning tree, right? Update that over time, have a nice clear picture of how well your kiddo's doing, and you can take a learning tree and apply it to a staff for staff competency checks and performance management skills as well. Okay. And now let's rock and roll and let's go write a progress report. Okay. So I'm going to stop for just a sec and wait for any questions that someone might have. All right, cool. Here we go. So I'm going to run a progress report. Now, a couple caveats. You don't have to only have progress reports, right? Monthly reports, progress reports, initial assessments, evals, confidentiality agreements, consent forms, FBAs, incident reports, BIPs, right? All that stuff. The possibilities are endless. Parent meeting notes, okay? All that good stuff. That's the first part I like to say. The second part is you can get your documents in the system. So if you work with Blue Cross of Michigan, right, or Aetna of Alaska, right, they might have different forms. We can get them in the system for you. We help teach you that, and we help put them in for you, or you guys can just rock and roll and put them in. They can be huge. It's just like a long Word document. You kind of copy and paste it in and then set it up with all these automatic features. And we have samples, a lot of different ones, and we have some from insurance companies as well. All right. So here's the flow. The whole flow is that your admin team has a report that shows you authorizations that are expiring. So when an authorization is expiring, they see that. They task you. You get tasked with a little blinking thing or an email that says, hey, you need to do this report. So you do the report, okay? So I come in, I grab the kiddo, and I go to his notes. I go to his notes section, okay? And in his notes section, I can either grab an old one, I can search, right? So if I wanted to do an FBA, I searched FBA, right? Progress, there we go. Right, but I'm just going to actually make a new one. The cool thing is you can actually take an old one and copy it and just change around the dates, change around the graphs. But here we go. Plan of care, ABLES, Blue Cross, right, consent form, et cetera, et cetera. It's all sorts of cool stuff. These are my custom ones. We also have beta and system ones like I told you. But let's pick a Beacon initial assessment template. Okay, so what we're doing here is this is a long insurance template. I show this one because the power of the system can handle this long insurance template. What I try to tell my users that I work with is get your most comprehensive one, because sometimes they say, oh, well, we have 5, we have 6, we have 10. You know, sometimes insurance does need a different one, right? But oftentimes you can make one comprehensive one that might work with your insurance company, okay? So what we do is we have a self-titled report now that starts at the header, goes all the way to the footer, and you fill out everything in between. Identifying information, team member, medical history, right? All this stuff, it's just like a little Word document that you go from page to page. It auto saves every 30 seconds. You're never going to lose your work. If I left right now, well, I haven't done anything, but it would save it in about 10 seconds. All right. So primary care. I am prompted to put the name, address, and phone number. Medical conditions, none. Allergies, yes. What allergies? Peanuts. Reaction, nausea. Where did that come from? Well, it's just stored in the system. Okay, little tables, little check boxes. Next page, biopsychosocial, right? This one's pretty boring. It's just check boxes. But your user just kind of checks them off, goes to the next one, and there's stuff that pulls in. School name, Happy Days. He also attends pre-K at Hinder Creek Elementary. I just have fake data in here, but you notice that it pulls, okay? Previous services, yeah. Treatment, they get OT now. How often? Daily. Results, very effective, right? Don't worry, you can also explain it, okay? All these little symbols, these gray symbols, they'll disappear. These little drop downs, so you're going to have a clean report. This is just to help you. Look at that autosave going at the bottom right there, okay? This will show you that you're, in your file cabinet, it's already there. Okay, what did I do? Dates of direct observations. You prompt them with color of what you want them to do. And I say them, but I mean your staff, right? Dates, sample, you can prompt them with a paragraph that they can kind of just take and paste or mess with, right? Main areas of focus, current concerns. This is awesome. This is really cool. So remember in that learning tree, in that binder, I put some stuff that I filled out so that I wouldn't have to write it again, right? Current concerns. Let's grab it. This thing's going to pop up. Current concerns are right there, and pop. There they go. My current concerns, right? Next page. It's a grid for Vineland, right? You can insert a grid there. You can just kind of have little sections for different things. It is auto-saving, so it's going to wait for me to click so that it auto-saves all my current information. Just takes about 5 seconds down there to finish auto-saving. All right. If my internet is good, it will go fast. Come on there, buddy. Come on. Usually doesn't take this long. Come on, it's currently saving. Let's do it. There we go. All right. So next up, let's do this one. This is a huge time saver. So you save a lot of them information, all the demographics, all the narrative, you save all that. Treatment goals. Come in and no more dragging and dropping images, no more going to calculate the baseline scores compared to the current scores, the last week average, none of that. The system knows what you want, right? It's in the template. So I can just come in and I'm just going to grab one section for you, right? But I could grab a bunch. But what you do is you grab, these are all just kind of fake with no good data. So I'm not going to grab a ton. But let me just show you this. The system is going to think about what you just grabbed and what date range. So you can put in a month, 3 months, 6 months. You can put in any random date range of your choice. Okay? So the system's going to think and it's going to grab what you need. What did I need? Well, my domain, my goal, status, mastery, goal summary, rationale. It pulled all this, so I can just review it. My first target, my baseline score, my current score, a little area for text if I need it, my graph. Next one, graph. Next one, graph. Okay? Next program, data, graph, graph, graph. Okay, so on and so forth. I go to the next page, right? Challenging behaviors, behaviors targeted. Again, I could just grab my behaviors. I'm going to show you one cool one, right? Attach your own here if needed. Delete that. I'm going to make one on the fly. So watch this. I'm going to find my behaviors, okay, from my list. It's going to populate a list of everything in your kid's book, duration, and hitting, boom, boom. What does it pull? Anything I want, right? The power of the system. Behavior, definition, operational definition, the function, right? Baseline data, baseline level, last review, intensity level. So you can build all this cool stuff into your system, goal status, right? And then fill out the rest. Now, when you get to the very end, okay, happens to be a long one. I don't think a user is going to finish this one in 30 minutes, but most reports, have a little, I mean, this is a pretty typical long one, right? But on the long end, rather. But coordination of care, right? Assessment summary, billing codes, description, etc. And then the footer, right? I didn't have any signatures, I don't think, on this one. But I could have had signatures. Oh, there we go, right? Greg's Wonderful Therapy. That would be my signature. You can also have a review process where I would put in someone's name, like my clinical director, and then they would be able to sign it as well. Okay, so that does that one. It's going to save everything. Okay, I'm going to go back to my file cabinet. Last thing I want to show you. Now, if you put in someone else's name to review, if you have a review process, your clinical director would have gotten it. They would have gotten a text or an email that they have a new file to sign and review. Okay, then they would have, been able to. You would have been notified that it's finished. Okay, so right here, Matt Storm, progress report, preview it. All right, you can have a logo. There's the first page, pulled over demographic information. You have page numbers, right? There's the first one that I typed on. You have page breaks. Next one, right? There we go, right? It's very nicely formatted. Everything looks clean. And hopefully, there's that current concerns. Hopefully this reminds you guys, I didn't take away, I skipped some sections, of course, but hopefully this reminds you guys of some of your own reports, right? And then you kind of paints a picture that you can get your own stuff in here. Okay. All right, guys. Well, so that is the report I wanted to show you. And I want to take any questions. That's all I have right now. There's many other cool tools and customization stuff, but I don't want to overwhelm for this first time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just type my email in the chat box. Okay. Greg Paquette. I'm going to send to all of you. If you would like, feel free to email me. If you don't get the video in a couple days, feel free to email me. And if you need any other a more specific Q&A, after this, I'd be happy to. Okay. And if you're already working with a sales representative, continue working with them, right? That's fine. And if you're not, reach out. All right. So I'll hang on tight for any questions now. You're welcome, Amy. Thank you. Great question, Brittany. Brittany asks for all the extensive checkboxes and forms and checklists. That one particular that I showed, that is available to you guys. So you could take that one and modify it for sure. We have some other insurance ones, Blue Cross and Magellan and Kaiser, that have different ones. But yeah, we have some extensive ones that have that shell for you, so that you don't have to start it from scratch. Yep. But even that one, that huge document, I mean, I actually don't usually build them. I worked on that one a little bit. It took me 2 days on and off, though. So not even, it was just a couple days, but not the whole day, just bouncing around doing some of that. So it's not as crazy as you'd think. Awesome, guys. All right. Well, thank you so very much. I will hope to hear from some of you guys later. Take care.